Ryan Leaf, former NFL quarterback, caused a little bit of a stir yesterday when he joined us here in the Man Cave. And we were talking about a variety of things with the draft coming up, quarterbacks that he likes, that he may not like. And then I posed the question, if the Bears draft Caleb Williams, and then I said, finish the sentence.
If they take him, I would be, you better be under the understanding that you're going to sit him this year. And that's not going to happen. So
why would you sit him?
Well, because 75% of what he made him so great in college is not transferable to the NFL. He's not going to be able to do that. He can't do what he did in college 75% of the time and be successful at the NFL level. He can do the 25% part at the NFL level, but he needs some time. He needs to get under center. He needs to understand how to throw on time, on platform, from the pocket. What he can do off platform is what makes him so exciting, because he may be one of the most talented quarterbacks in this year's draft and many in the past year's draft. But he is a guy that I don't think can be a starter on day one. And I think they wanted to do that with Justin Fields, but like any team that drafts any quarterback in the top 5, you're expected to play immediately. And unfortunately, I don't think he's a starting quarterback this year.
Okay, that caused quite a stir, because then you had analysts, you had radio talk show hosts. They were saying that Ryan Leaf, what does he know? He was a bust. He does know, because he was a bust. He said he should have sat his first year in San Diego when the Chargers were in San Diego. He needed to. He needed to kind of figure out what the NFL life on and off the field was all about. Now, is Caleb Williams a cautionary tale here? I have no idea. But if you're going to compare him to Patrick Mahomes sat his first year behind Alex Smith. Now, we know how that's worked out. They were 12-4. They were already a good team, an established team. They didn't need him to come in and play right away. The Bears are hungry for a winner. And if you're going to draft Caleb Williams, you would want him to play right away. Sometimes you'll have battle scars. You'll get PTSD by being out there, and all of a sudden you get into bad habits. And then you don't correct those, because you're still trying to make plays. You're still trying to be a one-man show. And you can't do that. It's really, really, really rare in the NFL. So what Ryan is saying in his defense is he did freelance a lot at USC. And he's not the first quarterback or former quarterback to say that. Dan Orlovsky talked about that. He said you can't get away with 6 or 7 seconds where you're running around and you're looking for a receiver. That won't happen in the NFL. But you are comparing him to Patrick Mahomes. Therefore, well, he's got to play right away. When people aren't realizing or they're forgetting, Patrick Mahomes sat a year, and he talked about sitting a year, and he talked about learning from Alex Smith and Andy Reid, and probably helped him considerably. Tom Brady, he didn't start right away. The draft is littered with quarterbacks who did start right away, and then those who didn't. And then, it used to be you sat at least 1 or 2 years, at least. Steve McNair did that. I think he sat for 3 years. Aaron Rodgers sat. Carson Palmer, when he came out, he sat a year. So it's not outlandish to say it. I think people are reacting that way, like, what are you talking about? Okay, that's just his opinion. He played the position. He failed at the position. He understands the pressures of the position. Therefore, I would look at him as an expert. Probably didn't think he'd be an expert on this situation, but he is, because he went through it and said he should have sat for a year. Now, maturity level, that could be a big difference here with Caleb Williams and Ryan Leaf, in fairness to Caleb Williams. Patrick Mahomes, dad with former professional athlete, he seemed like he was ready to go, but they drafted him, they went up to get him, and they had him sit for a little bit. So I don't think it's crazy to say it. I think in today's NFL, we're like, well, Bryce Young started right away and C.J. Stroud started. Yes, absolutely. Well, let's see how Bryce Young does on a bad team. And the fact that he didn't play well. Now you can say, all right, you need to be out there and you need to play. Quarterbacks will tell you 2 things. They'll say you got to be in action. You got to figure it out. Or, man, it's great to be able to kind of see the speed, understand a little bit more about the nuance of playing the position. And I think that's what Ryan Leaf is saying. Hey, I would have him sit. 25% of what he does is Patrick Mahomes. It's the 75% that you can't get away with. And you won't know that until you actually try to do it. But that was the big stir yesterday that Ryan created. We'll talk to Chris Sims about that coming up as well. All right. Poll question today, Seton. What are you thinking about?
Well, why don't we start right there with Ryan Leaf?
All right.
And his comments. I might need some help wording this correctly. Okay. But if I was to say Ryan Leaf's comments on Caleb Williams are ... based in experience or for clicks.
Ooh.
There might be other ways to say that. They are smart and measured or crazy. I'm trying to give you two options here.
Yeah, I don't know if he did it for clicks, unless he was trying to help.
Because he's getting them, I'll tell you that.
I don't know when somebody's trying to get. Well, I do know when people are trying to get clicks. I didn't think that in the moment. Like, man, Ryan's saying something really crazy for clicks. I would use the options of it's crazy or, it's measured and smart.
Smart.
Yeah, I guess.
Measured and...
Crazy.
Or crazy.
All right. Sure, why not? Yeah, Paul.
Didn't Eli Manning sit half his rookie year or almost all his rookie year? That was probably pretty radical at the time. I don't know if that was radical at the time. I think Eli Manning, I got him starting he started 7 games his rookie year. He sat the first half.
Well, also keep in mind that, okay, didn't want to play for the Chargers. He had the draft day trade, and then we're thinking, okay, this guy's ready to play, and then he doesn't play. And I think people were like, well, wait a minute. You made this big deal about not wanting to play there. Now you go to the Giants. You're not even ready to play right away. But Eli did sit for a little while. Yeah, Paul.
Could you make the case? I wonder if you could do a study that first-round quarterbacks that sat at least half of the rookie year turned out better. Eli worked out. Phillip Rivers worked out. Jordan Love appears to be working out. Rodgers worked out. Carson Palmer worked out. Mahomes, unbelievably worked out. All sat a big chunk or all of their rookie year. That's a lot of names off the top of my head.
Yeah.
And then how about a guy like Zach Wilson, who started, I think, week 4 with the Jets? If you had a do-over, knowing what you know now, sit Zach Wilson for a year? Sam Darnold. Even a guy like Jameis Winston. He's a kind of a gunslinger. He had some good moments and bad moments.
I don't think it would have mattered with him.
Probably not. But maybe he would have learned more maturity and discipline at the position.
Yeah.
Because he had a season with 33 touchdowns. I don't know. It always sounds radical.
30 picks.
No fans like hearing that stars are sitting. We want to watch.
True.
To the detriment of our franchise.
True. If you're going number one, chances are you're going to a bad team. Can you be the savior going to a team? And that's where I think we're misled. We're like, we got our quarterback. Okay. I mean, Carolina might have their quarterback in Bryce Young. We're not going to know for maybe another year or 2 years if he is or he isn't. C.J. Stroud, we know he is with the Texans. But I think that's rare. And Bryce Young, you bring him in, you're going to be our starter day one, no matter what. You're going to have him play. I said at the time I would have sat him. I would have sat him because the team isn't very good. I would have him just at least understand as much as possible, absorb as much, and then when you get put into action, maybe you get a little bit of a cheat sheet that will help you with the test. When you go out there, guys will say this all the time. Game is fast. Everything happens so quickly. Every athlete is a great athlete. You're not taking advantage of people. And if you don't have weapons out there, you're not going to succeed. Plain and simple. No matter how good you are. I've said this before. I could put Patrick Mahomes on Carolina. He's not Patrick Mahomes. Just not. But you get him with weapons and a great coach, and he will take you to the Super Bowl again and again and again, as we've seen that. Tom Brady said when we interviewed him years ago, and I said, what would have happened if you were a first-round pick? And he said, I'd probably be out of the league. I wasn't ready to play. So the greatest quarterback of all time, Joe Montana didn't start right away. I don't think Dan Marino started right away.